Our first author in today's GDSA Book Club is sharing an important message at the young age of 20. Her experience as a competitive gymnast didn't end how she may have thought. Welcome Viviana Garza, author of Life in a Leotard.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Viviana, this is so inspiring, I know, for so many people who have been through similar adversity. For people at home who don't know about your book, can you just tell us a little bit about Life in a Leotard?
Yeah, so growing up, I was a competitive gymnast in my childhood, and that took from about 5th grade to my freshman year of high school. So I spent a long time doing that, and I developed this great passion for it, and I really wanted to go far with it as far as like college and pro, and that did end up happening, but I do see it as not a failure but a redirection of passion, change, and things like that. And I think it's an important message for a lot of people to listen and hear, because it's easy to just see that as failure, but it's not. Things change and not everything goes how it's expected, but that doesn't mean there isn't better. So
I love that. Like there's still something bright on the other side of it. Now, how did your experience as a gymnast help you when you were writing this book?
Right, so my experience as a gymnast helped me write this book because I was able to kind of just use what I learned in gymnastics to and apply that to writing this book. So I learned a lot of discipline, and you really have to sit down and write a book and just be, just make yourself do it kind of thing, even if it's, you see yourself blocked or, it's no small feat to write a book, and it's neither is gymnastics by any means. So yeah, that really helps a lot, just having discipline, holding yourself accountable and things like that.
This is so inspiring, and you were only 20 years old. For young girls at home who may be watching this as well, do you have any advice for them?
I would say just advocate for yourself, listen to your body, listen to your mind, listen to yourself really, truly. We all have that struggle where we don't know if we should make a certain decision because of, the potential outcomes, or there's so much uncertainty. But honestly, if you just know yourself, you stay true to yourself. I know that's, a little bit cliche, but it's very true. And I think that a lot of people and a lot of young girls can learn from this message as well, and hopefully, be able to find their passion elsewhere if it doesn't serve them in the moment. So
I love it. This is such great advice, Viviana. And for people at home who want to check out your book, you actually have something local coming up at the Twig Bookstore?
Yes, on June 19th at 5:30, I will be doing an author appearance at the Twig Bookstore, where I'll be hosting a book discussion and things like that. So anybody can come out to that. It's just downtown at the Pearl, so yeah.
I love it. And so for people at home who want maybe a little sneak peek of your book, you actually brought an excerpt for us today.
I did, yes.
Now tell us, set this up. What part of your book is this from?
So this is the part where I had just gotten to regionals. So this was my last season competing, which I didn't know at the time, but I had made it to regionals, and this year we were competing in Kansas City, Missouri. So I'll read from that. As we landed in the Sunflower State, all I could think about was how proud of myself I was. I wanted to soak in all the moments that would soon become memories. I could have easily let the mental block win and given up the sport I had loved so much because of it. Instead, I chose to persevere even when it seemed like the light at the end of the tunnel would never shine. This was it. After being in the darkness for a whole year, this 815.8 mile trip to the most high stakes competition of the season was the sign that I'd made it to the other side.
This is so well written. I know people are going to be excited to check this out.
Yes, of course.
Viviana, where can people find your book in general? Are you online?
Yes, so I'm online on Barnes & Noble, and so people can order the book in hard copy or ebook formats. So yeah.
Thank you so much again, Viviana, and keep inspiring people out there.
Yes, thank
well,
you so
our
much.
next author is bringing his knowledge as a retired finance executive straight to you in his book, Follow with Reason. Welcome, Bob Galindo Jr.
Thank you, Kristen. It's a privilege to be here at Great Day SA.
I'm so excited to hear more about this. Now, your book, you talk about leadership, but is this for just the business community?
Definitely not. Not limited to the business community or adults in general. In fact, I would say there's a good market, there's a good reason for young adults and even children to pick this book up. I think that it's common knowledge that our brain is not fully developed until we're in our mid-20s with the reasoning and decision-making that goes on in the frontal lobe. And so that's the perfect time, I think, for us to start thinking about teaching following with reason.
I love it. Now, why was it important for you to focus on self-development for adults?
Right. Well, I've determined that we follow without reason because it's easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't take brain power. It's something that, I don't know if you've
It's
ever.
easy to follow.
It's easy to follow, and your brain is a cognitive miser. It doesn't want to work if it doesn't have to. And so it'll take the path of least resistance to make a decision. And so when we're adults, all those neural pathways are already set on how we make decisions. So it's important to address that. And it's a tough thing with followship because nobody wants to say they're a follower. They want
Sure.
to be a leader. But even the leaders, even the best leaders are elite followers.
That's such good advice. And you even
yeah.
have some tips for people at home as well, correct?
Well, sure. You know, obviously there's more in detail and nuance in the book, but you know, if I had to boil it down, I would say that first you have to admit that you're a born follower. It's instinctual and you're taught to follow and you follow because it's easy. Second would be to, once you admit that, is to come to understand that you have to work. It takes brainer-size, as I say, exercise of the brain to follow intentionally with reason. Third, to ask yourself questions. Asking questions is always good, but ask yourself questions. And then finally, to be willing to admit you're following the wrong thing and to make a course correction, to change, to say that was not the right way, this is the right way. And you know, I've had personal experience with that myself. It took decades to admit I was following my addiction to alcohol for decades, and it took a lot of reasoning to come to understand that that was not correct, and I needed to go this route. And so I think adults, children, they would find this useful.
I love that you have chosen to use your experience to really hone in on a topic that I feel like is really under talked about. Like, I feel like this is so important for people, really in the workforce, at home, in so many aspects and areas of your life.
Agreed, especially because of social media and marketing. It's their whole game is to get you to follow, and then the advent of artificial intelligence.
It changes everything. And so
Yeah.
for people at home, they're hearing this, they want a little taste of your book. You brought that
yeah.
for us
I
today.
did.
So tell us, what portion of your book are you going to be reading from?
Well, this is from the preface. And I would encourage, if you get the book, to read it and the introduction. Some people skip right to the first chapter, but here's what I have chosen. Those who learn how to grow and master their fellowship skills come to understand that leading and following are never mutually exclusive. You are not one or the other. In fact, you are always both. This is an observable fact of human nature, as is the fact that high-quality leaders are, in truth, high-quality followers. The art of skilled fellowship and thus skilled leadership is something that can be taught, but while the basic elements of following are taught to us, both directly and indirectly, I have not yet found a context in which following with reason is taught intentionally. And the goal of this book is to begin a dialogue around that gaping hole in our cultural consciousness.
This is such a great tease. And Bob, lastly, how can people find your book?
Well, it's available on all streaming. It's an Amazon bestseller, so you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books. And I have a website, www.followwithreason.com, and it has links to all of those.
Thank you so much for being
you.
here, Bob.
Thank you,
Y'all
Kristen.
be sure to stick around. Great Day SA. We'll be right back.